Hello, welcome back to JJ's Bakehouse. So I'm going to be making some regular cream cheese buttercream for you. Now I have made on my channel some, here we go, I struggle with this, some Swiss meringue cream cheese buttercream. Now it is absolutely lovely. I know a lot of people have had problems before with Swiss meringue and cream cheese because it's very wet and it doesn't become very stable. So I had a method for this and I tried to explain it because I kind of did that little bit off camera. So in order to help you with that one, I'm going to show you my technique using this regular buttercream today. So how this starts out is exactly the way that my Swiss meringue buttercream starts out with the cream cheese. So hopefully I can show you this process of removing that water from the cream cheese, which is what gives you that stable and lovely whipped butter and cream cheese combination that you can add to the Swiss meringue. So let's get on with this regular frosting here. So I've got in here 150 grams of cream cheese, full fat cream cheese, and 250 grams of softened overnight, left out, butter unsalted. So I'm going to put this into my mixer. And then I'm going to put the paddle on and turn this on to a slow enough speed. Now this isn't going to combine, and this is what I think was scaring people. So bear with me. Initially it starts to look like it's combining. Now, let me get it to this point and I'll come back to you. Right, I've been mixing this now for about 2 or 3 minutes and it's starting to combine lovely, and now it's starting, you can hear the water slushing. So, and then very soon the water's going to start splashing up at me. Cream cheese is really heavily full of water. Right, here we go. This is what you need. If you see here, this isn't going to combine at all. So let's just take off my paddle, pop that in there, and then I've got a sieve here, and I'm just going to tip this. See all that water that's come out of there from the cream cheese? That is what is stopping you from getting a silky, lovely mousse-like cream cheese and butter combination. So put it back on again, and I think we might need just one more go. Now I know this sounds like a lot of fuss, but especially when you're doing the Swiss meringue and this one, you're not going to have that wet, limp cream cheese that you normally do. This is going to pipe absolutely lovely, so this is really worth it. So let's put it back on again. Again, there is still more coming out because I can hear it. And the faster I go, there's a puddle again. Right, I'm going to take this last amount out, and I think then I'm going to be good to go. So, you'll be amazed how much water is actually in that cream cheese. What you're left with though is the fats, and the fat of the cream cheese and the fat of the butter is going to merge together absolutely lovely. So I'm just going to now get a cloth and wipe around the bowl because, as you can see, it's really wet there. So bear with me 1 sec. Right, I've wiped around the inside of my bowl. It didn't need to be particularly clean, we just need to get rid of the water. So even in that, we have got quite a lot of water in there. Cream cheese water, I call it water. Here we go. Now we should have some success. Now it looks like it's not going to do anything, and it looks like it's just a lump that keeps going. Don't panic. Mine is beginning now. It's going. So it looks scary, it looks like you've done the wrong thing, but here we go. This is the magic here, this is exactly what we want. So Bear with it. Let me show you how mine's gone. Here we go. It's not clinging to the paddle anymore. And there we are. It's beginning to turn together. There's no fluid in there. And we are now going to just leave this, as I would do for regular buttercream. We need that air in there so that we don't get that grainy buttercream. So we're going to whip this now for around about 5 or 6 minutes, and then I'll come back to you when it looks like what regular butter would look like. Okay, right then, this has been mixed in now. I think I left mine for about 8 or 9 minutes. And look at that. That there is super whipped up, mousse-like, silky butter and cream cheese. Taking all of that water out has just left us with those fats, and this is going to be absolutely lovely to work with. So I've got my icing sugar. I've got 500 grams of icing sugar here, and it's sifted. So always make sure that you sift that icing sugar as well, because if you don't sift it, then you're going to have lumps, and that's where your graininess is going to come from as well. But this being so light and fluffy is going to dissolve this, so that's going to really help. Also, again, this paddle, so good, really, really worth a creaming paddle with buttercream. I know some of you struggle, and this really saved me when it came to buttercream. So let's get on with it. So we're going to add the icing sugar bit by bit. So I'm going to add about 1/3 of this, and then pop it on a slow speed. Now, this is where your air pockets are going to come from. You've got lovely air into that butter now, which is just what you need to dissolve that icing sugar. But the last thing you want to do now is whip and whip and whip your icing sugar in this like crazy. You're going to keep throwing air into it, and that's where you get those air pockets, which is going to stop you from getting those really smooth lines around your cakes. If you were just doing piping for a cupcake or something, it never bothers me, but for a cake you don't need those air pockets in. So we're going to put this on the lowest speed with my tea towel so I don't get covered and look like a ghost, just for a minute till it's combined. Kind of tell when it's combined. I think we're there. Yep. And then I'm going to bring mine up to medium. Even that sounds to me a little bit too fast. I'm going to let that happen and keep that going there just for up to a minute before I add the next amount. It melts in with that so lovely because it's so whipped up. Okay. Now I'm going to add another 1/3 of this. So then we're just going to be left with 1/3 left. Same thing again. Over the top, lowest speed. And here it's combined. I'm going to pop it up again. Oh, I went too fast. And we're going to leave that now for around about 2 minutes. So let that go round and I will come back to you. Okay. Look how silky it looks. I love this recipe. So I'm going to put the last amount now of this icing sugar in. There we go. And then this is going to determine whether we need to add any water or whatever it is that you use as a liquid to make this less stiff. So let's have a look and see what happens first. So same as usual, the smallest speed. It's already not as wet, it's already a little wetter than regular buttercream would be, because by this time now I'd really be able to hear my machine on the last amount of icing sugar put in there. So it really shows you needed to remove all of that water from the cream cheese, because otherwise now it would just be a sloppy mess. This looks absolutely lovely. I don't think I need to add any liquid to this at all. I'm going to add my vanilla. So I'm going to put a teaspoon of vanilla into this. Lovely. And this is the speed now that I would leave it at. So what we had before, you hear the difference. That sounded very fast, and you can see in there it's really flipping it around. So this one here, if you can leave that going for around about 5 minutes, that will stop that air being thrown into the buttercream, and it'll also allow it all to dissolve and just become a lot more silky smooth, and then it will be finished and you'll be really happy with the results. So I'm going to let that go again, and I'll come back to you when it's finished. Right. Such a peaceful sound. So this is now done and it looks lovely. Let me get rid of this paddle. Okay. And I'll scrape this into the bowl so that you can see. And just go around my edges just to make sure it's all really combined. There's hardly any air bubbles in this because of the slow speed that we did. And then I have a piping bag here, and I'm going to pop some of this into a piping bag just to show you how stable this is. So I've got some of my cupcakes here. This is my moist chocolate cupcakes. You can find the recipe for these cupcakes, excuse me, on my channel. Okay, let's put some of this in here. All down, get rid of this. Okay. Just try and push out any air that's in there. Lovely. Right then. I've got my 1M, which is my saviour. I love my 1M. So down through the middle and all the way around. And look how well that is holding up, even through to the top there. So I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial and that you enjoy this cream cheese buttercream as much as I have. So stable, such a simple thing to do, just to remove that water and you get an absolutely beautiful buttercream. Remember that if you want to try the Swiss meringue buttercream, it's exactly the same thing with removing that water from the cream cheese in with the butter together. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you do, give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.